Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you are doing fine. And today in this tutorial, we are going to learn generators in Python. I trust me, it is a very simple thing in Python. But I was asked this question in an interview, and I could not answer this. But yeah, I mean, this is a very important question that could be asked in Python interviews, and it's very simple. And if you just go through this tutorial of very less than in less than 5 to 10 minutes, you can learn this module. It's not actually a module. Okay, it's just a function. Okay, so let me start with that. Okay, so before that, I hope you have subscribed to this channel. If not, please subscribe to this. Okay, so what I want to tell you about generators is that it is just like a function. Okay, but then there is a difference is that if a function in a Python has a yield method, okay, then it becomes a generator. Okay, if any function is having a yield method, it becomes a generator. So, and how does it work? How it is different from a function, or how it is, and yield is different from return statement. Okay, so all these things we are going to understand. Okay, so we'll be doing the live, examples to understand it. So whenever we talk about generators, okay, so we need to understand two things. First is yield, and second is return. Okay, so yield and what is the difference between yield is that whenever you run return, it returns a value to the caller, and it exits from the function. But when you call a yield method in a function, it will give the caller a value, and then it will suspend the execution. But when we call the function next time, the execution will continue or resume from there, from the next line after that yield statement. Okay, so this is a difference. And so I'm going to show you this with a live demonstration. Okay, so I'll just create a function in Python. So all we have, let's say my gen function. Okay, like my gen one, something like that. Okay, so if I write like this, so print. So I will show you the difference between the normal function. Let's say hi. Okay, so first of all, like I'm writing this. Okay, print hello. Okay, so I'm writing this function which says which prints three strings. Okay, okay. So what is happening when I call this function? Okay, what is happening? I will tell you how what is happening. So when I call this function mygen, okay, mygen one. Okay, so and when I run this, what is happening? Let's say if I save this with something like mygen function one. Okay, yes. Okay, so I save this, and now if I run this, what is happening? Okay, so basically it is executing the entire function. So hi is printed, hello is printed, good evening is printed. Next time if I call the same function, like maybe we need to call the same function again if there is a requirement. So if I run this, what is happening? So it is calling this function gen 1 once, and again if I call this, it is calling the whole function once again. So it is executing the whole function at a time. So that is a functions activity. Now let's try to understand how it is different from yield. Okay, so if I do yield now, okay, if I say yield, and let's say yield one. Okay, if I say yield one, and let's say if I say yield two. Okay, if I say the third statement yield three. Okay, and now when I call this function mygen1, and then for that we need it returns an iterator. Okay, so we can iterate through a generator function. Okay, so and now to access the value of the return value from the generator function. So at any moment, if a function contains yield, it becomes a generator. Okay, so we'll understand this very soon. Okay, so yeah, so now if I put three yield statement, now see what is happening. Now let's say now if I say I call this for the first time. Okay, like first value. Okay, so what is the first value? I call this function uh, a. So now a is an iterator. To now to get the values, you need to iterate through the a iterator. So I can just say this. So now what is happening? I'm calling this function, but I'm printing the first value. Okay, and now let's say if I run this, what is happening? See this. Okay, so it is printing the first value. Now if I call this function once again, okay, so what is happening? So now let's say if I call this function, so everything is fine. I'm just changing the print value. So now this time it is not uh, printing. Let's say what is happening. Okay, so just run it. And if I run this now see what is happening. It is actually printing 2. It's not printing 1. Do you understand this? So basically, when I call this generator function, it is not running the whole code. When we call it first time, this value is returned, and when I call, and at that time after it returns, you know, once it returns, it gives 1 and and execution suspense here. Okay, suspense. Now what is happening when I call it for the second time? See here, I'm calling it for the second time, and this time it will not come here. The execution will resume from here. Okay, execution will resume from the statement which is after the first yield statement. Okay, this is how it is different from a normal function. Execution resumes here. Okay, and then when I call it for the third time, let's say if I just copy this and print it. So now see, let it be second value itself. Now if I call it for the third time, what is happening? So when I call it for the third time, see the value is 3 is being printed. That's the reason I'm changing this to third. Okay, so it is actually printing the third value. Okay, so when you call the third time, the execution flow which was suspended at here resumes from the statement which is after this statement. So after this we have yield 3, so it returns the 3. Instead of running the whole function, it is only giving the third value. Okay, now what will happen if I print one more value, like let's say fourth value. See what is happening. Okay, so if I try to print this now, what is happening? So let's say if I try to print this, what will happen? Now if I run this, so now see what is happening. The iteration has stopped. Okay, so as you all know that Python is an interpreted language, so it will not throw an error for the last statement. So it ran till here, and at the fourth line, it threw an error saying that the iterator has stopped. So at this place, there is no value. So after this, there is no execution statement. Okay, so this is how it is different from a normal a normal function. Okay, I hope you understood. So I will try to make it clear once again. So when you call this mygen function, it is giving the value 1, and the execution is suspended. It won't run these two statements at that moment. When you call it second time, it will come, the execution will come here and will resume from this next statement after the first yield statement, and likewise in the third one. Okay, so this is how it works. And now see, now why do we need a generator function? Okay, so what is the purpose? So this is very useful when you need to generate a value, okay, or a sequence of values. Okay, like you want to generate a sequence of square. Okay, in that case you can use this generator function, because it not runs the whole function. Instead it runs from a yield. After that, whatever code is there, so it gives you the next value. So it is very useful when you want to generate a sequence. Okay, I can give you one more example, to make it more clear. Okay, so let's say you want to generate a square. Okay, a square of values, like you have from 1 to 10, you want to generate a squares of those values. So you can generate that using this, or I can give you an example of reversing the string. Okay, so let's just try to do that. Reverse a string. If you understood this, you will your concept of generator will be clear. Okay, so let's say I'm passing this string here, and so let's say for I in range, and this range will be so I will start at the length of string. Okay, so I mean, I assume that you have the knowledge of all this for loop and all. Okay, and so stop at -1, and step is -1. So I'm reducing the indices. Okay, and then what I'm doing, I'm yielding. Okay, okay, I'm yielding what? I'm yielding the value str1 of 1. Okay, so in that string, I'm just giving the index as I. Okay, I'm yielding this value. So let's see what is happening. So basically, I'm trying to reverse the string using from the reverse index. So if the string is hello, it should print from the reverse side. So indices are reverse. Okay, so now let me just type it, then you'll understand. Okay, so now let's see. Now if I call this, let's say for I in. So now there are two ways to iterate through the objects of a generator. One is using the next function. So whenever you call next a, it will iterate through the a generator function, or you can do the for loop. So if for loop for I in, so whatever iterators are there, so you can directly whatever values it is returning. Okay, you can iterate through that. Okay, and then I'm giving a, let's say I'm passing what do you call any string. Okay, let's say Wipro. Okay, so and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to print I. Okay, so what is happening now? Just have a look at it. Okay, so let me just try to let me run this, then I will make it clear for you. Okay, so save it, reverse string. Okay, save. So now if I run this, see what is happening. So actually it is reversing the string. Wipro has been reverted. Okay, so let's just make it, just to print. I will tell you. I will explain the code later. Let me just print it on a single line. So to print on a single line, all you have to do is just give the end as blank. So in that case, new line, it won't come to the new line. Okay, so if I run this, see Wipro, I gave Wipro, and it has been printed as ORPIW, which is a reverse. Okay, now see what is happening. So as I told you, like there are two ways to iterate through the uh, generator function. One is using the yield, using the next method. Another is the for loop. So I'm iterating through the all the values it is returning. In that, now so every time it is, so this time it is returning. So basically when Wipro comes here, so I am going through the range, and the range is from the length. So length is 5. Okay, so from 5 to 0. Okay, I'm going to from 5 minus 1. So 4 to minus 1. I'm going from indices value 4 to minus 1 with a step decrementing step minus 1. So actually it is coming here, fourth value. So Wipro's fourth indices value will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So O it is printing. When I call it next time, it is not printing O, it is printing R. Why? Because the execution is suspended at O, and the next yield statement will resume from R. Okay, I hope you get it. Like what I explained in the last example. So now next time when I call using the for loop, the execution resumes at R. Okay, so now you know str1 of 4 is 3, so 0 1 2 3 will be printed. Next time the execution is suspended here, and again it comes to the for loop. So when I call this function again, it goes back, and execution resumes at the yield statement, which is after this three indices. So again, 0 1 2 will be printed, so p will be printed. So likewise it is reversing the string. So there are other examples also. I can explain, like I have written one more example to square generation. Okay, so see this one. So how it is generating the square. Okay, so there are two. So I'm calling the square number 2 here. This is commented square 2. So it is infinitely generating the square. Okay, so whenever but I'm breaking if it goes beyond 1000, and I am printing it. Okay, so every time I'm calling, it is not giving me the square from the beginning. Instead, it is giving me the square from the next sequence. So it is very useful when you want to generate a sequence. Okay, so I hope you might have understood the concept. So generator is used when we need to generate sequence. Every time a yield is called, it gives a value and suspends the execution at that point. Next time we call a generator function, it resumes after the yield statement. Okay, this is my observation. So yeah, so I hope you might have understood this, and if you have any questions, please comment, and feel free to ask. So and subscribe to this channel for such more tutorials, Linux, Unix, IX. Thank you for watching.